chaos, madness, disorder. These have always been the enemy of those in power. Getting the time right, imposing rule and system on everyday life. For the Catholic Church, control over the calendar, the rituals of the year, was the most important outward and visible sign of its control, of its legitimacy, of its inspiration from God. And it would turn out that the technical mastery of light would solve the Church's problems of imposing order on a fallen, chaotic and disorderly world.
The Catholic Church was in crisis. Millions of believers were defecting, protesting against the Pope's authority. And at stake in this violent struggle was the timing of Easter. It's the movement of light that dominates our sense of time. And it seems to me that the principal way in which religions exert their authority over our lives is precisely through their control of time and their control of light. For the Christian Church, the calendar of the year was set around the most important of Christian festivals, Easter. Easter was the moment when all believers marked that extraordinary moment when the world was plunged into darkness because of the death of the Son of God and his miraculous resurrection into light. This was the basis of faith. Now, Easter's date had been set by the Church as happening on the first Sunday after the first full moon of the spring. Not being able to predict when Easter fell brought chaos to the Catholic Church. Without a precise system for calculating future spring equinoxes, Easter was celebrated weeks late. This inability to say exactly when Easter fell was becoming visible evidence of the Church's weakness. What was required was an accurate way of calculating when spring started. And from the 1500s on, great churches were turned into time and light machines. Here's how you can turn a church into a solar clock. The idea is that you drill a hole high in the wall of the church. You see how the hole is surrounded by an image of the sun and the crown of the Pope himself. That hole will let through sunlight when the sun is passing overhead at noon. The image of the hole then falls like a bright dot on a long brass rod aligned north and south on the floor of the church. Here's the clever bit. Now at noon in winter, the sun is still pretty low, so the image of the sun will fall far to the northern end of the rod. And during the course of the year, that spot will move inexorably towards us, towards the south, until we get to high summer, and then back again, through the autumn, back towards the northern end of our line. The area that the astronomers and priests cared about the most is here. This defines where the sun is on the day of the spring equinox, that moment when the length of daylight and the length of the night are identical, because it was on this position that the calculation of Easter relied. This position defines the moment of equinox, the limit of Easter, terminus paschae. By carefully noting where the spring equinox fell year after year, the observers saw patterns beginning to emerge. And from these patterns, they could extrapolate with incredible accuracy when future equinoxes would occur for centuries ahead. For the Church, order and its own authority appeared to be restored. But not for long.